So a little bit introduction to the Mill of Benham, which we now proudly own since the 30th of April, when the deeds got transferred from Aberdeenshire Council to the Mill of Benham enterprise via community asset transfer. And I come to that later on. It's a long story. But the Mill of Benham, it's actually a small water mill. I mean, you, Kieran, have seen it, and it's not a big mill or so, but it is a very historic, important mill. It's a heritage mill, and we believe that since the 12th century, a mill was on that spot. As when William the Lion, at that point King of Scots, granted the land of this area to, at that time called Hugo de Benne, it was mentioned the land was including all the woods, all the moors, and the mill. So from that point, we think there was a mill since the 12th century. And so it goes on. In 1492, it got mentioned. In the 16th century, it got mentioned. When then actually the mill got owned by the Earl Marshal, who owned the whole area here, including Donaghadh Castle, which is maybe castle people know, quite important in Stonehaven. And the mill was always an estate mill. So it was always owned by the estate. But in 1951, the last miller, he bought the mill from the estate and was the only miller ever owning this mill. And he died in 1982. And with that, the commercial part of the mill came to an end. You can see we have just received his business ledgers from 1951 till 1982, until his death. And you can see in the last 2 years of his life, he wasn't that well. Business slowed down. I have to say as well, Mill of Benham is an oatmeal mill, and probably due to competition, the demand for these kind of mills were not there anymore. It was run by water, but as well, in the 1970s, they put a tractor outside so they could switch actually to a belt-driven tractor when they haven't had enough water, and to supplement the water power as well. So it's a quite interesting system in the mill where you can swap the power from water to tractor back and forward. The Mill of Benham is a Grade A listed site. It was in 1972 Grade B listed, and then in 2009 got upgraded to Grade A. It is due to that Historic Environment Scotland believes it's an exceptional and rare survival of one of the last actually working water mills in the area. As I said, this is a small mill. It's 2 stories. So most mills have, or a lot of mills have 3 stories. We here only have 2 stories. It's an L-shaped building. There is as well the old miller's house, a byre, and a small grain store. And we have a mill pond. And the mill pond can hold water for 1 day work. That is how it was calculated. The mill pond gets fed through a lade by 2 burns. The castle burn is the main burn, but they have built an aqueduct which brings then from a weir, from the burn of Benham, water into the castle burn to supplement that. And in the 1800s, they had even a further dam about a mile and a half upstream, where they could store additional water, so that they always had enough water. It was a quite good system, so to make sure the mill had always enough water. And then when the miller died in 1982, the then council here, Deeside and Kincardineshire Council, bought the mill with the aim to restore it totally and open it as a visitor center, museum, community center as well. And they restored it over 9 years. So the mill mechanism was totally working. They put in a new wheel, they put in new troughs, new sloughs, everything was working. The outside, they restored what probably in the 1980s, 1990s was good fashion, but they used a lot of, unfortunately, concrete instead of lime and other things. They tried, you can see that, but it's not what we would expect nowadays. So for us now to bring it back to the standard we would expect it, there's a lot of work to do, a lot of repointing, a lot of reslating, and so. The issue we have with the working side of the mill is that the mill was infested by woodworm, and until that got detected by the owner, Aberdeenshire Council, when they had it in ownership, it progressed quite widely. It has been treated now, but we have to assess the woodwork holding all the mill mechanism in place, if that is actually strong enough to withstand the vibration, if the wheel is turning, if the millstones are turning. That is our concern. This is something planned for later on this year. Otherwise, the mechanism inside is great standard. It's still greased. Everything is turning inside. The stones are there. So as soon as we know that the woodworm damage is not too bad, or if it is too bad, the wood will be replaced after that, the mill can be brought back to probably only demonstrational work. I don't think we will use it as a commercial site due to other bits we want to do there. As another huge challenge for us is the lathe. The lathe fell in disrepair over the years, and Lucy with her volunteers from SPAB were there beginning of May to shuffle and dig out the lathe so that we can actually see what's going on and can use it. And we had a trial run on it, and the pond fills up, so that is fantastic. But there is a lot of damage in the sides, and this needs to be repaired, because if we would put too much water through, this damage would get even worse, and that would make then even bigger problems. Where the site is and where the lathe is, this is not really accessible by machinery, so it's all it has to be done by hand, and it got estimated of just the small amount of £130,000 to repair the lathe back to working standard. Yeah, because you're making a face, because we have banking there, and as that slides in, so you will have to put retaining walls kind of behind it before you can work, because otherwise this all slides in. It hasn't been restored very well in the 1990s. It worked, but now it needs to be done. It's about 300 meter long, and so it is quite a bit of a job. And because A-listed, everything has to be done properly and to a good standard. So when the council at that point in 1995, after 9 years of restoration, were finished, they opened it as a visitor center and community hub. They had a lot of activities from moth surveys and painting classes. So it was a really community hub, and it was very vibrant. And then due to health and safety issues and a lot of other issues, the council then decided in 2014 to close it, and it was mothballed from there on. And yeah, from there it fell kind of in disrepair, and we are dealing now with the aftermath of that. The Mill of Benholm enterprise started in 2016 to try to get this site from the council. lot of unsuccessful tries at the beginning. I think we were a little bit wrongly guided by consultants, and the ideas were investing millions there with visitor centers and activity centers. But we are in a very rural area of Scotland, so we are not Edinburgh Castle. So to sustainably run a place like that, we wouldn't have had the visitors to pay for that. The council have noticed that, and due to that, 2 attempts of community asset transfer, one under Mill of Benholm Enterprise and one under the Northeast Scotland Preservation Trust, were both unsuccessful. And then in 2022, a new board, including myself, took over the Mill of Benholm Enterprise, and we did a different approach. And we said, so let's forget about all big dreams. Let's create on our own a business plan which works very phased, and each phase is independent from another phase. So if we don't get the funding in, because it is always a big problem, we could then still work and do, and that is what we've done, and it was successful. And in January, then the council granted the community asset transfer. And we had last year, because how did we do it now? Last year we spoke to our membership, and we have a local membership of 118 members who are part of the Mill of Benholm Enterprise. And we got an active volunteer database of that, of 50 people who were interested to help. And that shows as well how much support the mill has in the community. And then in October, in the horrible Scottish winter, we started to deal with the overgrowth on site. We started to get the site out of hibernation, and those volunteers fortnightly through October, November, December, January, February, when it was really cold and wet and miserable, they were working extremely hard. And everything has changed now. The site is safe to access. If somebody is interested and want to go on our Facebook page, you can see the pictures, how it has developed. And we even now have a community garden group where about 10 people meet twice a week for gardening. They are growing plants, they are growing vegetables, flowers, and we have an orchard as well, and they're doing that. So the aim is to give part of it back into the community, as it is a community garden, but part of it as well will be sold to help the funding of the Mill of Benholm. So this is a huge success, and it was only possible because we had really interested volunteers from the community who were not only coming there for having a coffee or a chat, but were working very, very hard, and it's amazing support. And without that, we wouldn't be where we are. And we have now this Saturday, the official handover from the council. And after that, from next weekend on, we will actually have the mill open every Saturday and Sunday for the summertime, so that people can have the chance to go around, have a look around. The hospitality side of things will be very limited at the moment, as we have to do work in the kitchen area before we can start cafe. But what we will do is we will have flasks with coffee and tea and things like that, so that people who come and are interested can at least have a little bit to drink and a little rest. So that will all happen. At the moment, we have grant funding through from the community Coastal Community Fund, Aberdeenshire, to extend and enhance the car park. And together with Coastal Community Challenge Fund, which came out of the EU funding and got carried on, we are getting the possibility to put in bike shelter as well with e-bike hire, because we want to use the car park not only for the Mill of Benholm, but we want to go further and use it as a kind of travel hub for the whole area. And so you will be able to come there with your motorhome or with your car and then hire e-bikes to explore the area. And so that the funding is through for that. Planning permission is at the very end of the process, and we don't expect any problems there. And work probably will begin end of August, beginning of September to enhance the car park. That depends a little bit on the contractors. And otherwise, we are waiting for funding for the place-based investment program, which in principle has been granted, but due to funding issues in general with the Scottish government, we are waiting if it is coming through, what amount is coming through, and so it's more the financial side between the Scottish government and Aberdeenshire Council, which is holding things up. But the application was successful and got granted, and that would be then enable us to bring back certain walks on the side. It will bring back the cafe, excuse me, and all these things, so that we can start attracting more visitors. And then the next steps will be that we will apply for funding to repair the lade and make sure that the mill is in working order, so that the wheel can turn. We'll have to do work to the mill pond. As you can imagine, if it 10 years hasn't been really used, reeds are growing there more than there is water. So that needs to be dealt with and excavated. That will happen. And then we bring the site step by step, a lot with volunteer work, back to where it was. And it is a beautiful site because it is like a natural amphitheater. When you are at the pond, you have a flat area and then a slightly raised landscape. And so there we will have events from theater groups, music, but as well weddings, pop-up catering, where people come with a trailer, do things. So it's quite a lot of things going on. Community will be involved as well with courses, community events. So it will be quite a buzzing and busy place. We need a few more things to do, but next year, quite excited about that. So that's roughly what the Mill of Benholm is. And as I don't know how to put pictures also on here, I can just say go to our Facebook page and have a look to get an idea what I'm talking about. Thank you.